My name is Richard, lucky to come about animation, and today we do something a little different of villainous content here. It's that this video will be more kind of fun fact than anything else. I hope still be entertaining and enjoyable. Let's just get started. And today you're wondering what the supervillain called Adelta called Blackhat, the Charro Negro. What that actually means and what is Charro Negro and why they just given that name to Blackhat. Well, I'll call him Blackhat. Well, it's sort of you have to know the history and myth of Mexican sort of lore, and I may be breaking down why she called him that. Let's start with the first. What is Charro Negro? It's sort of a myth, sort of kind of demon used to be a human being. Best way to describe it, he between Ghost Rider and Freddy Krueger. But of course, Charro actually means something else without the Charro Negro attached to it. Charro is actually a cowboy. That's the best way to translate it, but Charro was basically an insult specifically for male Mexican people because back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, that the Spanish sort of took over Mexico and they tried to insult, they created names of Mexican people like Charro till the Mexican people decided to flip that insult to a sort of respect sort of name. But because the Charro has sort of the cowboy uniform that is given to more gravitas, like the Spanish has its own version as sort of a cowboy sort of uniform, but they never give the uniform to the Mexican people because they're not Spaniards. They're not the rich and powerful, in other words. So they told them to make your own uniform, but do not touch ours. So this is the reason why every time you hear a Charro wear that specific uniform cowboy, specifically more mariachis, you've seen how the uniform are, is what the Charro actually wears. Now, to flip it to full name Charro Negro, they're sort of flipping it as how evil the cowboy, the black cowboy, actually is because he's sort of reversing everything that's sort of positive. In fact, the origin of the Charro Negro was sort of kind of relatable. You understand why he became a sort of demon or bounty hunter for the devil. That's basically a young man who lived in a farm who never had much of anything. The guy wanted respect, money, women. The only problem is he was just too dirt poor. He never had the good life. He never had anything to eat as well. So he heard a myth around the town that if you get out of town between the crossroads, you may find a demon who could grant any wish you want. Of course, you have to trade your soul. But the young man wanted that because he wanted the fine life. He wanted power, respect, money, women. And he really went there till his father stopped and told him, my son, yeah, you have to wait. Don't be anxious, just have patience. Our luck would change. The only problem is you kind of understand why the young man didn't listen. It's because you never have nothing, barely anything to eat. If he has a chance at the good life, just for a little while, he would do it. So this is the reason he went to the crossroad demon to make the deal. But the only problem is it wasn't any other demon. It was the devil himself. Surprised this young man, this 17-year-old man who wanted this wish. The devil laughed and smiled, says, okay boy, you have moxie. I give you whatever you wanted. Of course, with the time limit. This time limit will be 20 years. If you agree with my contract, I will take your soul and give you whatever you want. And the man was happy. He would get everything. Power, respect, women. In fact, over the years, he has a mansion, a great farm, actually married a fine woman, and he have 2 kids. But every couple of years, the devil reappeared and told them, this is you only have 18 years, 19, 16, and basically come up to the last year. But during this time, the man became more paranoid, more freaked out. He pushing a lot of people back. In fact, he was sort of point out paranoid. He locked himself in his own mansion, kicking his wife, his servants, his own daughter and son, being left alone with the gun and his faithful horse, paranoid when the time is up that the devil will take his soul. Till I think the 8 years left, he repairs once again, and the devil just updating him. But the young man disrespect the devil, told him off, "You never get my soul." Devil was pissed off. Apparently, he's this point. He says, "You know what? I'm not gonna wait 8 more years. I'm gonna take your soul right now." This point, the young man freaked out, took his horse, and ran as fast as he can. The devil was more angry than ever. He attempted to get close to the horse to stop the young man, but the horse was defending his master and pushed the devil away. Till a couple more miles, the devil once again catch up and especially pushed him over in the river. During this time, the devil was so angry, he decided to do something completely different. He says, "That's right, boy. You don't want to live a long time. You're afraid of death. I will give you what you want. You will never die till the end of time. During this time, you will serve me, capture every single soul who attempted to escape me, even plus more souls that you owe me right now. Top of everything else, your horse is cursed too, connect to you to end of time." And that sort of was the deal was given to a young man. The young man laughed like, "So what? You give me what I want, why should I be scared anymore?" The devil laughed, saying, "You have no idea you have done." The devil laughed and disappeared. During this time, the young man obeyed what the devil was saying, collecting souls. But the only problem is, he started to notice things becoming off, like his taste, his smell, his skin starting falling off. He became more older. The point his skin just ripped off of him, becoming a skeleton. And at this point, it could be more difficult to collect souls. The point he kind of went mad. The only thing he makes sense or any enjoyment of his own life is just torture people and convince them to take their own souls. He became so obsessed with it, a point that if he sees someone in the middle of the night walking, he transformed himself as to a normal young man, started talking to you to see if you get any information, any weakness. If he does, he asks, "I can give you a deal, I can solve your problem." Of course, for your own soul. And that's basically the myth of the Charro Negro. He went mad and just enjoying torturing people, getting their own souls to pay the devil his own debt and end of time. In a way, it sounds sort of ridiculous, but believe it or not, a lot of Mexican people, depends where you live in Mexico, more like in the borderlines, where people still believe that Charro is a real person, afraid. People are afraid to walk out in the middle of the night to bump into him, because there are hundreds of stories of the Charro Negro. He's like the fifth most well-known myth of a legend, in other words, next to the Llorona, next to the Cocuy, and many other well-known monsters in Mexico. But interesting enough, Alan, the creator of Villainous, he never made Blackhat as the Charro Negro. He created Blackhat more inspired by the gentle villain. He never made him or be inspired by the myth. It's that over the years, people sort of pointed out that Blackhat remind him as the Charro Negro. This is the reason why he sort of kind of kneels to the corner, serving like a Charro Negro, but it's more like just a small reference of him. This is the only reason why of this episode you hear the word Charro Negro, because basically only the elderly knows the myth. I mean, there's a lot of young people do know the myth, but you get the idea. Of course, the reason also he's skeleton is basically the history of Mexico, because the tribe people, the Aztecas, do believe of the Grim Reaper. Anything he dies become rotten like a skeleton. So you can see why the Charro Negro looks like a skeleton, because it kind of influenced what you know of your own history. That's the explanation why they actually call him the Charro Negro of Blackhat, specifically this episode. And this is the reason why every time you see the Charro Negro with a horse is because it's the horse who protect them from the devil. But at the same time, the horse is also truly evil. He also, the Charro Negro turned to flames for some reason. It depends who kind of story you read. But the very he used young or skeleton or with fire with his horse. That's why if you typed out Charro Negro, you have a lot of different combination of that sort of design. And this is the reason why he's sort of compared by Blackhat to other people who see the show. Now, hopefully this sort of explanation makes sense or understand why they called it Charro Negro Blackhat. Tell down below you like this sort of explanation. You want me to do more something similar like this or not? Tell me down below. Let me know. I got nothing else to say. Just thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day. Bye.